Welcome to today's edition of 3 Minute Halacha. The Yamim Noraim are completed, and Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan is this Sunday and Monday. And so it's time to talk about Rosh Chodesh for just a moment, and particularly the question of when do we remove our tefillin when davening on Rosh Chodesh. As you know, the custom is that we don't wear tefillin during the Musaf of Rosh Chodesh. There are two reasons for this. The first is related to the davening itself, because in Nusach Sfard and also in the Sfard Siddur, when it comes to the Kedusha of Musaf, they say, Keter Yitnu Lecham, we crown you, God, referring to the teaching that the Jewish people, together with all of the angels, crown God as the King of the world. The Mishnah Berurah explains in Siman Chafei, Sif Katan Samach Aleph, that it would be very unbecoming of us to refer to God being crowned while we're wearing our tefillin, which are considered to be a crown, a pe'er in their own right. A second reason offered by the Levush, also in Siman Chafei, are that tefillin are removed before Musaf because it adds a certain flavor of a holiday, of Yom Tov, to the day. On Yom Tov, we don't wear tefillin. Rosh Chodesh has an element of Yom Tov, and therefore when we say the Musaf, we don't wear our tefillin. In fact, the Levush and the Rimipano both suggested that you should take off tefillin before reading from the Torah on Rosh Chodesh, because the Torah reading of Rosh Chodesh is a special Torah reading. The Rimipano also suggested that maybe the time for taking off tefillin is before Hallel, and the Magen Avram said that maybe it should be after the Torah reading. However, the halacha is not in accordance with those views. We just remove our tefillin before Musaf. It's interesting that the question of exactly when to take off the tefillin before Musaf is also subject to debate. And the reason is because once tefillin are removed, typically, and this is brought in the Rambam as well, they would just be left on the side and covered. The reason is we don't want to make a break between Kaddish and the beginning of Musaf. However, leaving tefillin out for such a long period of time seems to be disrespectful to the tefillin, and therefore the Mishnah Berurah wrote in Siman Chafei, Siv Katan, Nun Tet, that tefillin should be removed after we say Uva Letzion, but before the Kaddish is said. Similar to the way that a rabbi gives a drasha, a sermon on Shabbat, before the Kaddish is said for Musaf. At that time, you can take the break and you can put away your tefillin. It would seem to be this is the ideal situation. However, for those communities that have the custom to take off tefillin after the Kaddish, it's important that they remain covered, respected. However, as Rav Moshe Feinstein notes in Orach Chaim, Chelik Dalid, Siman Yutet, and also the Tzitz Eliezer in Yud Aleph Yud, that wrapping tefillin during Chazarat Hashatz of Musaf is really inappropriate because you're supposed to be listening to that Musaf repetition. As a result, ideally, take off the tefillin after Uva Letzion, before the Kaddish, wrap them up and put them away. If the Kaddish is already recited, take off the tefillin as quickly as possible, leave them on the side, and wrap them following the conclusion of the Musaf repetition.